So as many of you have noticed, I re-uploaded kind of in full and uncut manner, if you will, basically my two-part, well actually both of them were two-part, top 10 videos that I did basically on the top 10 episodes of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. And before that, I did a full uncut upload of my two-part video I did originally back in 2007 with my VHS-C video camera when I was living in Kansas back in August of that year of 2007. But to get back to, what the other two videos were about, I wanted to come on here kind of clarify what my top 10 is. And my top, basically my top 10 episodes of Rescue Rangers. So with that said, let's get into the first one. The first one, of course, is To the Rescue, or Rescue Rangers to the Rescue, the pilot movie or miniseries. This basically was the origin of how the team came together. I liked it. It's a 5-part miniseries. So when you add in basically 22 minutes each for each episode, or 20 minutes each for each episode, you're looking at like the first 2 episodes at 40 to 44 minutes, to 60 to 66 minutes, to 80 to 88 minutes, or something like that, or 80 to 88 minutes, and then 100 to, I would assume, 102 minutes or something like that, 108 minutes, basically 102, yeah. So you're looking at mainly a pilot that was, as in a movie format, is basically about an hour and 100 minutes exactly, which is kind of good, kind of great. And it's a great introduction to the characters becoming a team. We get a little background on, Gadget, and, a little background on Monterey a little bit. It definitely builds up that dynamic that Chip 'n Dale are known for. So a really great start to the series, even though when you look at it on Disney Plus, right now, when you look at it on Disney Plus, it's listed way at the bottom in season 2, almost season 3. It's listed way down there. So yeah, you'd have to scroll all the way down just to find, all 5 parts of To the Rescue. I do have the complete, it complete, if you will, as a movie, on DVD. I have it, and I think you can find it, through places like Internet Archive and, elsewhere as a whole, as well, not just as a miniseries, but as a whole. So yeah, it's a great start, and the best thing about the premiere of the pilot, I should say, in movie format, back in '89, the best part about that is you got a behind-the-scenes special afterwards, which was, Chip 'n Dale's Excellent Adventures or something like that, where they showed a behind-the-scenes look at how the show was made. And then you get a bonus with that when it comes to Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers music video done by the Jets. And honestly, as I've said before, not many of the Disney Afternoon cartoons at that time got that kind of treatment. Were they very well known at that time? Still one of the top, acts in pop music, rock, 80s pop music, if you will, coming out and taking their time and saying, "Yeah, we'll do the theme song. We'll do a music video for you guys for the Jet, for the Rescue Rangers." And that's what the Jets did. That's what they did, and that was a great pickup. But yeah, To the Rescue is definitely one you should check out. Now, let's go on to the next one. The next one, of course, is Adventures in Squirrel Setting. As I've said in my 2 top 10 videos, it's a great introduction to the Rangers having friends outside of the team, allies outside of the team, mostly in the form of Tammy and her sister Binky, but mostly Tammy. I like the dynamic, the little dynamic plot, in this episode, to where Tammy develops a crush on Chip because he saved her, and basically that causes her to kind of want to grow up a little too fast. But she is kind of in that situation to where, yeah, if she wanted to move out, basically she could and move in with the Rangers. But I like the moral of the story at the end, to where, through Gadget helping her out, she realizes, hey, if you're going to impress somebody, don't try to be someone you're not. Just be yourself. Because, this coming from Gadget, for her basically saying, look, I'm not trying to impress Chip or anybody else, And for her to acknowledge right there that, hey, I'm not trying to basically win somebody's hearts. I'm just taking the compliments given to me. That's just how I am. I like the fact that, Tammy gets the moral of that message, and it does leave the door wide open, if you will, for fans to interpretate whether or not she does take on that mantle down the line. And I do like the idea, that she does, in the Boom Studios continuation, in the Boom Studio Comics continuation, she does, take up the idea to be a helper, to be somebody more, more out there, be willing to, put herself out there to help others. And that's what she does in Boom Studios Comics continuation of the show. When she becomes a nurse. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool to see that and everything. But yeah, Adventures in Squirrel Sunning, definitely good episode, good introduction to the acknowledgement that the Rangers going to have friends and allies, I should say, friends and allies outside of the team that have the potential to be part of the team down the line. The next one, of course, after that I listed, and I still stick by this, is the Carpet Snaggers. The Carpet Snaggers. And this one's interesting because, once again, it kind of alludes to something that I've always felt, and I'm always sticking to this no matter what. I've always felt was another hint, another, Easter egg thrown out there by Disney to say, yeah, we want to put Dale and Gadget together. And Carpet Snaggers is, an episode that does that, because what happens is you have Dale and Gadget get trapped on a carpet as the carpets are starting to fly and everything. But, nobody knows. The thing is, nobody knows why these carpets are doing this. But, of course, they find out, mostly by investigating, they find out that, hey, there's some kind of circuitry, like some kind of electricity going through the wire. And it's, as they're trying to get away from the carpet, or get off the carpet as it's starting to move, Gadget gets distracted by seeing sparks come out of the wire. Dale looks back, stops, runs back towards Gadget, grabs her arm and says, "Gotta go, Gadget," and he grabs her, but he grabs her too late as they get caught up in the carpet. Now, basically, long story short, they get floated out with the carpets. They're followed by Zipper because he's told to follow them by Chip. He catches up with them. Dale tries to figure out, okay, how to stop this. He can't. And he falls off one carpet onto another. And Gadget then follows after him by basically using a necklace, beads of a necklace, if you will, as a climbing rope, if you will, to climb down to Dale. And Dale sees this, and he's like, "Careful, Gadget!" And just as he says that, all of a sudden you see this like little wind breezing, and she loses her grip, and she falls, and he catches her, and then she says, her line of "Golly, thanks, Dale," and she hugs him, and it's like, okay, are you trying to insinuate something here, Disney? You trying to insinuate something here, Disney? And I think honestly they have been insinuating at something. They just don't admit it. But yeah, I liked that that we had that kind of a moment there. I liked how they kind of figured out that magnetism kind of short circuits the carpets, and you get that moment where Gadget creates an electromagnet to short circuit them, and then when she does, it fries her, and her hair gets all stuck up in a wild manner. So that was like a nice little that was a nice little giggle to get out of you when you saw that moment. And the way they do kind of get the solve it all is they have a climax basically when Monterey's just being his mouse self and just scaring all the humans there at this fancy party, causing them to go from one direction of the house to another. It's really funny. It's really really cool. It's a really funny, really cool climax, if you will. But yeah. Carpet Snaggers, in my opinion, is definitely worth a watch if you want to see it, and especially if you are a supporter of Dale and Gadget as an item. It's definitely a good episode to notice that as well. The next one I talked about was the case of the Cola cult, and this one is the more infamous one to a lot of fans because of what it's about, what it touches upon, the subject matter and everything. How you have, basically this cult that worships this cola from the 50s and 60s that's still obviously around, this cuckoo cola and everything. So, yeah, it's kind of one of the more infamous ones, but it's also very notable because it's an episode where Gadget kind of questions whether or not she's losing her touch in inventing. And even though she's had a few mishaps here and there, she still doesn't feel like, okay, I'm losing my touch or anything. That's until one of her inventions, her gyromobile, gets sabotaged. And we find out it's from the leader of the Cola cult's assistant, who's actually not really, in the cult to help out, but he's in it for himself. He's basically a crook. He's a criminal. And he's even tricked the leader of the Cola cult, if you will. So basically, I guess he sees that, hey, she makes all these inventions, and hey, if she's willing to make all this, or she's capable of making all this, she could be a threat. She could be a problem. And basically, he basically causes her to start self-doubting even though she's not aware of it. That is until he reveals that he's the one that screwed up her gyromobile. And to me, the moment Bubbles, because that's his name, believe it or not, and I think I mentioned that. The moment he admits that, once he reveals what his plans truly are, once he admitted what he did to her gyromobile, I think everybody would pretty much admit right there, yeah, you just screwed yourself. You just screwed yourself, because her reaction and everything to that was like, my gyromobile? You did that? It's like, yeah, Bubbles, you just screwed yourself. You know what I'm saying? You just screwed yourself. And boy does he pay for it. Because what she does is she basically goes back to Ranger headquarters. She goes back to Ranger headquarters and everything. Hold on. Because what she does, she goes back to Ranger headquarters, and she basically armors up. And I mean armors up the... she armors up, basically completely rebuilds the gyromobile into a gyromobile tank. And here's the thing, I always remember this, because when they were on the Disney Afternoon, they used to have the previews and during the end credits of Disney Afternoons, talking about what the next episode, for the certain shows they had on at the time would be. And they were previewing this one, and they basically said that she gets turned, because of what happened, she gets turned into Ramboette. Ramboette. That's what she becomes. That's what they said. I remember that clearly. Ramboette. And she basically, like I said earlier, makes Bubbles pay for his very cocky attitude and everything. And again, his big mistake basically was revealing that he was the one that sabotaged the gyromobile. But basically, long story short, she beats his ass, excuse my language, God, and she basically rejoins the team because she does temporarily quit because she's doubting herself earlier in the episode. But once she finds out the truth, she rejoins. She's back on the team and everything. And it's like, she's realizing that, hey, I might make mistakes, but as long as I know where I belong, I'm fine. I'm good. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters. But yeah, it's a great episode. It's one of the more infamous ones because of the subject matter it deals with, in the episode and everything. But it's definitely one of the better ones. So the sixth one, I think that's what it is, because I did To the Rescue, Adventures, The Squirrel Sitting, Carpet Snaggers, and now Case of the Cola Cult. So yeah, number 6 here, because that was 10, 9, 8, and 7. Yeah. 10, yeah, To the Rescue, 10, Adventures, 9, Carpet Snaggers, 8, what number 6? So number 6 is Mind Your Cheese and Q's. Now, Mind Your Cheese and Q's, I look at it as sort of like a pseudo sequel to Double O Chipmunk. We'll get into that one later. The reason being is because the way the story goes is it focuses on Monterey always losing constant control because he has a craving for cheese. And it gets so bad that sometimes it causes the Rangers to get into a lot of trouble. Anyway, they find out that an old nemesis of theirs, well, not an old nemesis, but one of the more recent nemesis of theirs, Rat Capone, is causing a major cheese shortage to the city. And basically, it's up to them to try to figure out, okay, how do we stop this guy? How do we stop him and basically kill the shortage of cheese and basically get things back to normal? So, basically, long story short, they have to at the end infiltrate or try to infiltrate Rat Capone, and what they do is and this is why I consider it like a pseudo sequel, because in the second half of the episode, they basically kind of go back and take a page. They take a page out of the Double O Chipmunk playbook by disguising themselves in outfits that are different than what they are. And for Gadget, sorry, I thought I saw something. But like I was saying, as for Gadget, what she does is she goes back to wearing the femme fatale outfit, kind of, not as much, but she kind of goes back to wearing the femme fatale outfit, or at least one identical to the original outfit she did in Double O Chipmunk to help out with this. And unfortunately, the plan to infiltrate, to fool Rat Capone into thinking they're a rival gang, and everything coming in to take over, backfires. But pretty much everything works out in the end. They're able to stop Capone, get the cheese shortage, stopped, and everybody, pretty much is happy and everything, and, that's that. But, yeah, like I said, the reason I feel it's a pseudo-sequel is because of them, in my opinion, taking a page out of the playbook of Double O Chipmunk with how they try to infiltrate, Rat Capone. But what's interesting is because Monterey's cheese addiction is so off, not off, but it's so off the charts, I should say. It's so off the charts in this episode. What happens is it's only Chip, Dale, and Gadget that go in disguise to try to fool Capone and not Monterey. But again, like I said, that kind of backfires, but fortunately, they're able to turn things around and get things, back on track. But yeah, it's a fun episode, and like I said, and as I mentioned, it serves somewhat, especially with the ending, as a pseudo sequel to Double O Chipmunk. So if you want to check it out, that's my number 6 episode in the top 10 that I have, that I recommend. So now we enter the top 5, and for the top 5 we have Dirty Rotten Diapers. This is one of the best ones I think everybody would enjoy. The premise basically is that the Rangers are back from a recent case, but basically the guys at least are worse for wear. They're all bandaged up. So Gadget's like, enough of this. We need to find a more gentler way. And she comes up with this idea. And basically, Chip agrees with it, and he gets a kiss on the cheek. Dale agrees with it, and he's wanting a kiss too. And it looks like, and again, this goes back to another D&G hint, he wants one on the lips, and it looks like Gadget's all for that. She's smiling and everything, she's all for that. But that doesn't happen because Chip interrupts. And what secretly happens in this episode too is, Gadget says, okay, every time one of you guys come up with a good, kinder, gentler approach to solving a crime, even a small one, you'll get a gold star or something like that, and maybe even a hug. Who knows? But the way this turns out for Chip and Dale is, and Gadget's unaware of this. She's totally unaware of this, apparently. But it turns into it turns into somewhat of a competition, if you will. Because when Chip gets the first gold star and the hug from Gadget for coming up with the first, kinder, gentler idea, he gives this look looks back at Dale with a sly look, and everything. And you could just tell what this really is about for Chip. Not just Dale, but for Chip. And that is, hey, the more I come up with better ideas and everything, and the more hugs I get from her, the closer I get to winning her heart, and she'll be mine. That's what it is. That's what it turns out to be, because what happens is they end up stumbling onto one of the biggest scenarios where basically they think, that this baby is in danger, that every family this baby gets adopted by is in danger, not knowing that this baby, known as Thaddeus, is a miniature crook. It's a miniature crook. They're a miniature crook, excuse me there. They're a miniature crook that poses as a baby to get adopted, and that the agency is just a cover for the schemes, for him and his, I guess you could say, criminal ladies, criminal women, if you will, fellow crime ladies, to use to cover their, like I said, to cover their tracks. Because what it is, they have this adoption agency, I guess around, which again they use as a cover-up for the crimes. Anyway, Gadget looks at this as a bigger, stronger opportunity, a more challenging opportunity to show that they can do this a more kinder, gentler way. And what happens, and I go back to Chip on this, Chip tries another gentle approach, but not aware that this baby is not the kind of baby he thinks he is. And what happens is Thaddeus swipes at Chip, and this causes Chip to kind of lose his temper, which surprises Gadget and everything. And right there, because it surprises her, that's when you, as a viewer, realize that for Chip, especially with that sly look he gave Dale earlier upon getting the first gold star and hug, you as a viewer pretty much figure out that what this really is for Chip, or what this really was for Chip, was nothing more than just, the more gold stars I get, the more hugs, the closer she'll get to be mine, Dale. She'll be mine. That's what it is. That's what it really was. And I don't know if Dale was the same way in anything. But Dale tries his best at it, and it looks like he's going to succeed until he gets bonked on the head with a rattle. And just one thing leads to another, to the point where finally Gadget gets injured, and then all of a sudden, and it's her tail that gets injured, right? And what happens next is she just loses it, because all of a sudden the back at headquarters, and she's sitting on the top of the couch. And she's like, well, I say we kindly go back to the house, gently go back inside, and drag that little brat out by his dirty, rotten diapers. And it's like, and that just shocks Chip and Dale, like, whoa, what the hell? And she's like, And she's like, I've had it. No more whipping out. And the original line, I think they kept the line in the Disney Plus broadcast and in the Blu-ray release because those are uncut. But basically she says, no, she says, I've had it. No more whipping out. Let's shake that baby till he rattles or something like that. And Chip's still on the kick of kinder, gentler because he's thinking, okay, going rough, didn't help us, the previous times, and look what just happened going gentler here. But maybe if we go gentler in a different kind of way, we might succeed. And that doesn't happen. Like I said, Chip decides to go a more gentler route, tries to continue doing the kinder, gentler thing, but go in a different route that, kind of is reminiscing to what they were before. And that doesn't work. And he's like, enough, Mr. Nice Guy. I say we do it Gadget's way. And when Monterey asks, well, what do you think, love? And because, that's what he would call her. That's the Australian thing. It was like, what do you think, Gadget? Not like, because love basically is L-U-V, not like love, my love and all that, but basically like love, like, what do you say, my niece? Or what do you say, my stepdaughter? Or something like that. And, that's just the Australian way of saying things, if you will. Anyway, long story short, Monterey says, he asks Gadget, well, what do you say, love? And Gadget's like, thrash the brat! It's like so funny and everything. But yeah, it's a great episode. It's funny. They do, they basically reveal the truth about, who these people are and everything. And then Gadget kind of goes back to normal and everything. She's like, oh, what a case and everything, and all that. And then she kind of gets back to her more, sophisticated side, more simpler side and everything. So it's funny. It's really good. It's really funny. You get a kick out of it, especially Gadget's role at the end. Just like, it's like It's like that, throughout the episode that, what she's trying to get away from, she's going to just have to basically resort to eventually, and she'd be the one that does it. And if you guess that from the beginning, you're pretty much right on the money. You're pretty much right on the money. So number 4, we have a fly in the ointment. And this one, let's just put it this way. If you look up Rescue Rangers and you put in the Rescue Mutants next to it, or Mutants next to Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, you'll pretty much get this episode coming up, or at least images of this episode coming up, because the plot is basically Zipper feels unappreciated and everything, as a member of the team. And they're going up against Nimno, because Nimno's created this new teleporter that he uses by, wearing this helmet, and everything. And how this helmet works, is he puts a phone on it. This is basically when we had landline phones, and everything. Cell phones were around, but they were the big hunky, ones that, the kind that you would see, like, let's say, Zach Morris hold and Saved by the Bell. So, yeah, he attaches the phone to this helmet. And basically, he's able to teleport himself to anywhere he wants to go. So what happens is Zipper tries to stop him, and what the teleporter does is it teleports both him and Zipper back to his lab, back to his hideout, but unexpectedly it causes them to switch bodies. And we're not talking different souls, like the soul goes into one body and all that, no. Basically, they switch bodies by having their heads go on to the other's body. So Nimno's goes on to Zipper's, and Zipper goes on to Nimno. And because of this, Nimno is now finally able to understand the Rangers, which by the way, as we get to the later episodes, which this is a part of, he does recognize, he does, acknowledge as, the rodents, as he puts it, that always are around to foil his plans. So he does realize who they are. He does acknowledge who they are now. But yeah, because he's now part fly, he's able to, understand them and everything. Zipper still understands them because he's part fly, even though he's on a human body. He's just and because of that, he's mistaken for an alien. So basically, the Rangers have to go find the helmet because it got lost somewhere. They get it. They retrieve the helmet back. And Chip comes up with this brilliant idea to use a payphone to teleport all of them using the helmet into the Area 51 laboratory, where Zipper's being held. But as expected, what happened to Zipper and Nimnol happens to them. And what's interesting is how it happens, who gets switched with who. And what happens is Monterey gets switched with Chip, so Monterey's body heads on Chip's body, and Chip's body's on Monterey's. And then for the comedic effect, and again, another little hint, another little Easter egg, I think, to acknowledge that, yeah, they probably wanted to do something with these two. But mostly this was done for comedic effect. Dale's head ends up on Gadget's body, and Gadget's ends up on Dale's. And you get some comedic moments there. You get like Gadget, basically, when Gadget looks down and sees that she has Dale's shirt, she's like, Dale, why do I have your shirt? And then Dale looks over at her and she's like, you got more of me than just my shirt. It's like, that's just so cool. It's just so cool. This is such a funny moment. And anyway, basically, Gadget basically pulls the shirt down because, like, oh my God, wow. And then she puts like a little cup, like those little like bathroom cups you have to drink water after you brush your teeth, like those little plastic paper cups, if you will. She puts that over herself as kind of a cover for the lower half. And then she sees Dale doing, putting his hand on her, putting her hand on her hip, if you will, saying like, oh dear, oh dear, dear, I've always wanted to be close to Gadget, but not this close. And then Gadget walks up to her and says like, keep the hands off the body. She's like, sorry. It's like, it's just so funny, the moments. And then then Gadget stays with Nimnol to keep an eye on Nimnol and kind of help fix the helmet and everything. Fix the helmet. And so that leaves Monterey, Dale, and Chip to go find Zipper. And Dale's like, I ain't going out in public like this. And Chip just has to grab him like, oh, yes, you are. It's like, it's so funny. And then when they do get put back to normal, all of them, Gadget's glad to have a body back. And Dale's like, and believe me, it looks a lot better on you. It's so funny, but yeah, it's a funny episode, and they do stop Nimnol. They do get him arrested by having Zipper teleport him with his device to the 911 office or 911 center and everything. So he ends up being arrested and everything, and it's a fun episode. It's just really fun. So if you haven't checked it out yet, it is on Disney Plus. I would recommend checking it out. You'll get a laugh. Believe me, you'll get a laugh. Sorry about that, I did it too soon. So the next one I think is number 3, and that's Good Times, Bat Times, I believe. It is Good Times, Bat Times. It's number 3, maybe number 2. I got to go back and count. If I miscounted, I do apologize. But yeah, Good Times, Bat Times, Good Times, Bat Times, if you will. Good Times, Bat Times. This episode introduced, of course, a lot of fans to Foxglove the Bat, who falls for Dale instantly. But we find out she's working for a witch who's a criminal. And, basically she's kind of like, let's say, she's kind of in the role of what Misty Bright Dawn was in with Opaline in Gen 5. She's being promised a bunch of hoo-ha, but basically it's never going to be, especially when the witch Winifred goes back on her word not to harm Dale after turning Dale from a chipmunk into a frog, which Dale turns back from. But yeah, It's a cute episode, a good Halloweeny cute episode. It is on a VHS tape that they released. I think it was I gotta think of the name, but it was a Halloween tape that they did. They had a Darkwing Duck episode on there as well. But this was a cute episode. Introduced people to Foxglove, and unlike with Tammy and Chip, in their episode, Adventures in Squirrel City. Again, this, like I said, this introduces, a love interest for Dale, and Dale actually is very receptive of Foxglove's affections for him. So, it's a cute episode. Everybody, Everybody, I should say, fell in love with Foxglove, voiced by the late Deborah Wally, who, by the way, actually kept in contact with the fandom, especially on the Foxglove feature website. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, everybody fell in love with this character and have incorporated her into a lot of fanfic stories and such. They incorporated her into a lot of fanfic stories and webcomics. She's in Of Mice and Mayhem by Chris Fisher, which is a good one. You should check that out. And then Ian Brill incorporated her into the Boom Studios revival of the Rescue Ranger series in comic book form, made her an integral part there. And it's actually the first time in the comics officially, of any official Disney Rescue Ranger product, that she does meet Tammy. So that's kind of neat to see. But yeah, the episode's very cute, very cute, very fun. And if you're into that kind of stuff, and you're liking, and you have an affinity, an affection, if you will, for sweet characters like Foxglove, then I highly recommend checking out Good Times, Bat Times on Disney Plus. I think you will enjoy it. And I can't say any more than what I've said and others have said before. All right, so finally at number one, I'm assuming it's number one, Double O Chipmunk. And what more can I say about this episode that I and others have not said already about it? It's an episode full of first, is what it is. It's an episode full of first. As I've mentioned before, it's an episode full of basically first from Dale, showing a more inventive, more creative, innovative side of him by basically taking one of his own tuxedos and basically souping it up with all kinds of gadgetry, if you will, which even impresses Gadget when pretty much him doing all this wakes everybody up late at night. So basically, Gadget's impressed by this because she realizes, oh shoot, I have another inventive, creative mind I can bounce things off of, which is kind of cool. It's also the first time, as we all know, that Gadget wears an outfit outside of her traditional overalls and her other normal clothes, and that is, of course, the red dress, the red high heels, the bracelet, the bright red lipstick, and bright purple bluish mascara, heavy mascara, if you will, and then of course the wig, and it looks like she kind of, it looks like she kind of tanned her fur, but I'm assuming she probably put like some powder on her, some like skin powder, like the makeup powder on her skin. And it's the first time we see her like that and act the way she did, and it's also the first time she kisses one of the chipmunks, in this case being Dale, on the lips and everything. So it's really great. And this to me is one of the better examples, stronger examples of them wanting to put Dale and Gadget together. I think this is one of the bigger, stronger hits because you get that moment with them. The night before the following day, where Gadget puts this little game together to make Dale feel better, this little spy game, or what's supposed to be a spy game initially. Together to make Dale feel better. You have that little moment there, and it's like, what more can you ask for? And not just hinting at, what Disney wanted to do with these two, but how far Gadget's willing to go to help a friend, especially maybe someone she kind of understands where they're coming from and how they're feeling about being discouraged or laughed at because they're trying to help out with them being not being, but basically showing that they can be more than just comic relief and everything, by showing that, hey, they have an IQ that's creative and innovative and everything. So yeah, this episode's really great. It's full of first and everything. Really liked it. And what's interesting is you have the characters stay in their costumes, stay in their spy outfits for the whole episode. You have them in the regular outfits at the beginning, but for the remainder of the episode, even when the spy game turns real and they encounter real spies with a real microfilm and all that, they don't change. They don't go back to being themselves. They remain as spies, or basically remain in their spy, outfits and with the spy looks and everything. And it's fun. It's really, really fun and everything. I can't say any more than what I've said before. It's like, to me, this is one of my more personal favorite episodes, and I would watch it time and time again. It's that good. It is that good. And like I said, it's full of first. It's chock full of first. It really is. And to me, it's probably one of the better, stronger indications that Disney wanted to do something more with Dale and Gadget than just, have them be friends and teammates. And you get that moment with the talking, that night after, Dale does what he does, waking everybody up and just trying to basically show that he wants to help, and everything. He just wants to help. And if that means, taking inspiration from a show that he watches and sees that, hey, if we could do that, we'd be even better than what we are. We'd solve cases even faster and everything, and crooks may even not even want to deal with us, kind of deal. To have that moment where she comforts him, and because obviously she understands where he's coming from, being there herself at one point or several times in her life. It's a great moment. It's a tender moment, and for her to have tears in her eyes when she's holding up the tuxedo and going like, if Dale wants to be a super spy, then I'm going to help him. That to me is powerful. That is a powerful moment that I don't think anybody can deny. It really speaks a lot of volumes. And then of course the way she does help him, I mean, good grief. What more can you say? But yeah, that's why Double O Chipmunk's is my personal favorite of all the Rescue Ranger episodes. And that's all I can really say. So that's about it, guys. I will link at the end here the other top 10s that I did. So hopefully you'll see if I missed anything. If I did, I do apologize. Consider this. I'll put it in I'll put it in the title. That's a top 10. Kind of paraphrase, parentheses, top 10, maybe top 9, whatever you want to call it, episodes of Rescue Rangers. Let me know if you agree with my list. Let me know in the comments down below and in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube. Let me know if you agree and everything, and why you agree with some of my selections in the top 10, top 9, whatever it's going to be. Let me know down below in the comments, like I said, and in the live chat if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're just listening on places like Rumble and Spotify for podcasters, let me know what your thoughts are. And until next time, guys, I am out.